DMV Sports 3. We're back. We're back. We're back. The OGs of the DMV show. Here we are once again, and today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to go off the beaten path of what's right here in front of us as we talk Commanders, and we're going to go back as we had in our last show. And those who took the time to watch our last show, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ask if any and everybody would do it this time. Like and subscribe. It means nothing to you, but it means a whole lot to us. Trust and believe that you can just do that. That makes a world of difference. But what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the word bust.
Bust.
What is a bust? What is a bust? And what were the busts of our first round draft picks here in Washington? I'm talking Redskins, we're talking football team, we're talking Commanders, we're talking bust today. But before we get started, what do we always do, fellas? Let's get it.
Get it. Summer, youngest on the corners be runners, out of towners be straight up corners. In DC, the K Corps, dirty Cadillacs, Desert Eagle cannon blast. Watch your back. Even the hood rats, keep it real where the hood's at. Swinging wooden bats at your so-called cats. You know how we roll, y'all get up in the back. Roll call in the back, stole the Bama, watch his ass go flat.
In DC, where you got chickens that make it harder to get them digits, the skins and them cowboy tickets.
In DC, the K Corps, dirty Cadillacs, Desert Eagle cannon blast. Watch your back.
Okay. Here we go. Listen, ladies and gentlemen,
Tough show.
the show is about bust.
A draft selection that turned out to be a total bust.
We always tout ourselves as being individuals who had the pleasure and the privilege to watch and participate in 3 Super Bowls here in Washington. The only 3 that I am aware of. And so when we talk about things and we always talk about old players and who this and who that, we tend to have a little chip on our shoulder because it seems like we've seen them all. And as we're sitting here now looking at what we have coming in and what we had going out, we thought that it would be cool if we sat down and talked about what a bust means to us. We're going to do a quick round robin on what a bust means to you. Now, we're only talking first round draft picks because we have individuals who've gotten on the team much later in rounds. I mean, we picked them in the last round, 26. Yeah, they might not have been the best. And then there have been some surprises. But right now, we're only talking about our first rounders. All right? So what is a bust to you as it pertains to first rounders, gentlemen?
Go ahead, Deacon. Go ahead, start us off, Deacon.
Expectations. Sometimes you can get a first rounder and you know that he's not going to be a perennial all-star or a staple of the team. That just happens that way. Sometimes you get lower in the round, you get pick 25, pick 32 if you're lucky. But when you go top 10, I think top 10 you have to start thinking about whether you're a bust or not. Because you should be a star. And if you are picked 3, let's say Chase Young doesn't really work out. Let's say he's just another guy. You got to kind of call him a bust, right?
Yeah.
Because if he was 32, if he was 28, even though he's a starter, maybe like 6-7 sacks a year, that's kind of a bust as far as the first rounder is concerned. Maybe not a second rounder, but a first round top 10 pick, those have to be staples to your team. That's what I call a bust.
Deacon, I'm in total agreement with you. Top 10 pick, you have to be a playmaker. You have to contribute to the team. You have to be a difference maker, top 10 pick. And the prime example is Chase Young. I mean, he is on his 3rd year. And he just can't give us just 1 year. He has to give us multiple years of being a difference maker. And, you know, I personally feel like a top 10 pick has to be someone that makes a difference out there. He can't be just a guy. He has to make a difference. Now, from top 10 on down, like you said, 27, 20 and all that, like Davis or Sweat or somebody like that, if they a difference maker, that's a bonus. That's an extra. You know what I'm saying? But top 10 and below, On that, I think, and Chase Young is a prime example because he's 2. We could have had a quarterback at 3. We could have got a quarterback if we didn't get him. And that third round quarterback is a playmaker, Justin Herbert. So we missed out on him. So
you going back to that?
Yeah, I'm going back to that. So
I think hype helps too.
Yep.
The hype you bring in with you, I think, also kind of determines whether people are going to look at you as a bust or not. So that is kind of a self-made prophecy almost, because if you lighten it up in college and you come in and everybody thinking that you're going to light it up in the NFL, whether you are top 10 or not, let's say you fail in the draft a little bit, end up at 16, 17, then you're having a problem. Then you might start thinking about bust. Like Jahan Dotson is 16, but if he's just a guy, if he's a good number 2, I wouldn't call him a bust.
So
because
you jumping the gun.
People project him as a 16. We didn't even know who he was. So that's a bonus to me.
That's a bonus. He's a bonus. He's a good player. He's a bonus. But Trey, go ahead. Your opinion on what a bust is. And take us there.
I'm gonna go with you guys. I mean, top 10 definitely says a lot. Top 10. However, I tend to go and look at growth too. Sometimes people have that sophomore slump. I mean, you can even ask Cam Newton. He came in, lighting it up, then had that sophomore slump before he became Cam Newton that we know. So I'm always looking at that. But time on the field and growth always matters too. The hype, I never get into the hype because, we always see cats coming out of college. It doesn't just translate based on the hype. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So some people play the guy down, like he says, and they fall all the way down in the draft, and they're the best player that ever was drafted. So I never get into the hype because I never know what that means. What we're going to do today, we're going to go back. And so for you youngsters, because I didn't want to go too far back, so I went as far back as 91. Now, we had a lull when it came down to drafting. I mean, it was a long lull. We didn't have any number 1 draft picks up until like 90. I think that was when Brian Mitchell came on. And right after that, we had a number 1 draft pick, which was, you can pull it up, Deacon, young man by the name of Bobby Wilson. Now, those of the old heads out there, Bobby Wilson's probably about our age, a little older. But Bobby Wilson came out, defensive tackle out of Michigan State, Mr. Bobby Wilson. At the top left corner right there, you're going to highlight him. Now, let's look at this and see if he was a bust or not. Mr. Bobby Wilson came out, like I said, Michigan State, round 1. He was the 17th pick. So going with what you guys just said, he was a top 10. 17. Played 4 years for the Skins. All right. But got a Super Bowl ring with the Skins. But overall games played with 42. His stats read as such: 11 quarterback sacks, 1 fumble recovery. Defensive.
Just a guy.
4 years. But 4 years on the squad, just a guy got a Super Bowl ring.
He got a Super Bowl. That was because of the team. That was because what he was producing.
Is he a bust at 17?
Yeah, I got to say a bust.
Yeah,
I said the expectations were higher for him.
Yeah, he's a bust because he just wasn't even a guy, really. He was just on the team.
Yeah, and it's only 4 years. So it's not like he
just made the team.
Yeah. If he was on the team 10 years, he would have been a solid pick because he anchored that position for a while. But 4 years at 17, he almost washed out. So,
all right. So moving on, we're not going to belabor Mr. Bobby Wilson. That is a bust, according to the brothers. I give him 17 though, but I give him a bust. 17 is still up there. It's kind of high. All right, let's go with Desmond Howard. A lot of people know Desmond Howard as the commentator, not the player. But here's Desmond Howard, 1992. Mr. Howard came to Washington. We knew and was very excited at the time because that was Mr. Heisman Trophy, Desmond Howard with the pose. Classic. You know what I'm saying? That the dude.
That's why he got picked.
Again, out of Michigan. 4th round pick. So he's top 10, y'all. Mm-hmm. Top 10 here in Washington. All right. Now his history. Now he played for about 5 teams. His best team best season that he had was right here in Washington, and that he think he had like 40. Let me tell you exactly what it is. Desmond Howard, his best season was here in Washington in '94. All 16 games, 40 receptions, 727 yards. He was a deep threat because he was averaging 18.2 yards a catch and caught one for 81 yards. We were trying to get him deep.
Listen,
hey, Trey working hard. But Trey, he's a bust. He's a bust, Trey.
He was a bust.
Desmond Howard is not a bust.
He's a bust.
He's a bust for us. He was a bust.
Commentator, but he's a bust.
You know what I remember
He's
about
a great
Desmond
commentator.
He's a bust. What I remember about Desmond Howard is him being too small. Hard to get off the line. Couldn't get open. But you know, the funny thing was, and he was out of position apparently because at special teams he was lighting it up as a kickoff punt returner. So, but what I remember, the funniest thing is when we got ready to get rid of Desmond Howard, everybody know he was gone. Okay, the last game he played for us, and we was trying to up his trade bait. The last game he played for us, they designed the offense around him. He caught almost 12 balls. Lighting it up for over 100 yards. I mean, he was wide open, lighting it up. And I'm thinking to myself, and this is why we always talk about Scott Turner now and designing your offense around your players.
Right.
Is that the way he was lighting it up is like, dude, why couldn't you design an offense to get this guy open for the last 4 years?
Hey, Deacon, you know who their offensive coordinator was that year?
Who? North
Turner. North Turner.
Yeah, but God bless him. He was a good punt returner and kickoff returner. He scored.
He's a bust.
He reminded us that he was Desmond. What was his name? Hester before Devin Hester was.
He was a bust.
But he was definitely a bust, especially at number 2.
Tell him how you feel. Tell him how you really feel.
He was a bust for the Washington football team, Redskins, Commanders. He was a bust for us. Next.
Enough said.
Tom Carter, 1993. Tom Carter came out of Notre Dame, first round, another 17 pick like Mr. Bobby Wilson. Mm-hmm. Cornerback. This is defense now. This is a little bit different again. Cornerback, played for Washington for 3 years. Overall career stats was only 361 tackles, 27 interceptions, 1 touchdown, and that was the whole entire career.
Yeah. You know, his problem was he never could lock anybody up. he never could lock
That's a huge problem for a cornerback there, Dick.
Yeah. I mean, he was probably a better zone corner than anything. But even at that, he was just he was one of those guys who would stay back and come up and tackle, which is fine if that's what the defense is designed to do. But I mean, when he got one-on-one, it was just over. I mean, he didn't have good feet. It was something going on with his hips. It was just, he just didn't have it to go. You know what I mean?
No swivel in the hips, huh?
Hey Trey, the man was one of the youngest NFL players to play. I think he played his first game at 19. That's his only claim to fame. He was a bust.
And maybe it was his maturity. He didn't catch up. You know. But he was lit up.
Like Deacon said, no swivel in the hips.
This is looking bad, fellas. The top 3 since 91 and 93 were all busts.
Yes, sir.
Only one over the top 10 that we blew. So we blew that completely.
All right.
But then again, Desmond Howard was a consensus pick that he was going to be a star.
Yeah. Everybody thought he was going to be a star.
Everybody thought that.
Yeah, we sure did.
The number 1 pick is coming up.
House of Representatives, sir.
That's right.
With your chest.
For Tennessee.
Heath Shuler, out of Tennessee. Young man came in. This is a pick 3, first round, pick 3.
Three.
All right. And he played for Washington. Looked like it was only in there for 2 years here at Washington. Now, with that being said, what do you say about Mr. Shuler? I know everybody
called him Fat Boy. You know, he was a little on the short side as far as the quarterback is concerned. But this is a product of Washington and how we draft. I think it was the same year we drafted Gus Frerotte, didn't we?
Sure did. We sure
did.
You
know, it's the same thing with RG3 and Kirk Cousins. You know, everybody wants the backup to play. Everybody loves a backup.
But Deacon, I seem to remember that Heath Shuler had a problem remembering the plays.
Nah,
That was a major problem. I remember that joint, man. This man, he's a representative now, but back then there was a big thing about him struggling to call the plays in the huddle and remembering the plays at the line of scrimmage. And he was just.
I remember that.
I remember that. That was a big thing.
I will attest to nobody actually followed him as a leader. Because everybody wanted Gus Frerotte to play, the fans wanted Gus Frerotte, the players wanted Gus Frerotte. Heath Shuler came in out of shape, chunky.
Trey Z.
And then Gus came in. No, he was
Trey Z.
That was the consensus here, man. The number 3 pick quarterback, and I remember that too. I think that was like our first quarterback controversy that I could remember. And everybody was talking about they didn't get this dude a chance in '94.
He was a buzz.
All right, now we go to the big awesome. This was our Megatron, Michael Westbrooks in '95 out of Colorado. My man was the number 4 pick. Here we go again, top 10. Top 10, number 4, played in Washington for 6 years.
Big Al.
Gentlemen.
Okay, Michael Westbrook is a guy that remember he beat up Davis. He beat up the running back.
That can't be the only reason that we
That's
remember.
what you remember him by.
He was going to say.
That's the only reason. That's the only thing he ever did.
Hey, the second thing is there was a rumor in the LGBT community.
Yeah, that too,
Yeah, that he was a friend of Cordell Stewart. But that was a rumor, allegedly. But as a player, he was just a guy. He wasn't a buzz.
I gotta argue. I gotta argue this one, gentlemen. I gotta argue this one.
Just a guy. He wasn't a bust. He was just a guy.
Okay, so 11 games first season, 522 yards. Next another 11 games, 505, 559, 736. In 1999, he went for 1,000 yards, 1,100 really, actually. And then his last season in Washington, 2000, he barely touched the field with 9 receptions, only played 2 games. So
he's just a guy. I wouldn't say a bust. He was just a guy.
Nine touchdowns in that big season in 99.
His tenure here probably helps him out for not being a bust, but we hold on to people because we ain't got nobody else. Name another person who played with Michael Westbrook. He was the number 1 receiver on the team. And he was 500, 700. He wasn't lighting it up. It just wasn't nobody else to throw it to.
Hey, he did.
Who was throwing to him? Who was throwing to him?
Heath Shuler.
There you go.
He sure ain't played.
Gus Frerotte.
That was Gus Frerotte. Gus Frerotte took over, and Gus Frerotte, I think he played for 2 years as a starting quarterback.
Either way,
it was bad. We always had bad quarterbacks.
This is the first non-bust in my opinion. Now, did we want more from our Megatron? Absolutely. But he just did not get to that point. A lot of factors now. Remember,
I'll go with that.
What we always said, he's not a bust. I'll go with Al. I think he was a Jag. But he was a decent Jag at the time of what we had.
He can fight though. Do you know he did MMA?
yeah. He did transition to that.
Yeah,
he actually is in MMA. That I do hear that. Still doing this.
He can fight.
And he can catch the fade.
Yeah, he can catch the fade.
He can catch the fade. Now this next guy I put on here, Andre Johnson. The strange thing about Andre Johnson, when you look him up, you could barely find anything on him. Out of Penn State, first round, 30 pick. So their expectation is low. Apparently, he only played for 3 teams, and he only played 3 games. So everybody saw the potential in this guy, but he played for us and went to Miami and went to Detroit, and he only played 3 games his entire career.
I got nothing to say.
Okay. That's a bust. That is a perennial
bust.
Official bust. Washington draft potential.
That was a waste of the number 30 pick.
Out of 6 players here, we got 1 Jag. That's
1 Jag so far.
That's not good. So let's go on down there, gentlemen. Who we got? That's
Kenard
Lang. Kenard Lang, 1997, sir. Kenard Lang out of Miami. The U. Here he come, Mr. Aggressive. Another pick 17. This is the 3rd pick 17. Obviously, Washington has an affinity for that number. What he played here in Washington.
We always a little pack.
Say what?
We're always in the middle of the pack, almost in the playoffs, but never go there. 17.
Hey, man. So
Wasn't Kenard Lang a little undersized?
It was a little undersized, but
He was aggressive, though.
He was aggressive.
Yeah. For his size, he used to get in the
I don't know his
backfield
stats, but he was. I would say he was a Jag.
Yeah, he was definitely a Jag. I don't think he was a bust because I remember him actually playing pretty good on some games because he was just too small, so he would skirt through sometimes into the backfield. But I mean, as far as blocking and get blocked, he would get blocked all the time because he was just too small.
Defensive end, Kenard Lang wasn't that around the time when you had your boys out there still playing. In '97, that was the end of Man and
no, they wasn't there. They retired early '90s.
They were earlier than that.
Yeah, that was
early. It was one other big name we had. Oh, was this your boy out of Miami was there?
Ken Harvey. We had Ken Harvey or something like
Ken
that.
Harvey was a linebacker.
Yeah, but he played on. Yeah, he played on the line sometimes too. He was the best player.
Who was your guy, Hall of Famer that we had that came on the squad around there? Was that '97? You know what I'm talking about, out of Miami. Played with us. He looked like Shamar Moore. Bald head dude.
No. That guy came in the 2000s. You talking about?
Okay. But you know what I'm talking about now, right?
Yeah, I know you're talking about. That wasn't none.
What's his name?
Kenard Lang was a Jag. I would say Jag.
Wasn't a bus.
No, he wasn't a bust, but he was definitely just a Jag.
Awesome. So we got 2 Jags so far out of our first 9. And if you got this far, folks, please like and subscribe and give us your opinion. If we're saying anything wrong or what you think. So now in 1998, as you can see, there was no pick, 0 pick at all. In 1999, I want to give a shout out to Champ Bailey. Champ Bailey was a heck of a pick. we scored big on that. Champ Bailey was one of our perennial quarterbacks. This was right after Darryl Green is rolling out, finally let it go. And we didn't know what we were going to do until we found Champ Bailey. So shout out to Champ Bailey.
Champ Bailey,
We traded him.
We traded him though, but he's a gold jacket wearer. He wears a gold jacket.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely
he was awesome. He was a player. Let's go with who you see on the screen right here. But before I go there, we had 2 picks in 2000, and one was a gentleman by the name of Chris Samuels.
Yeah,
Chris Samuels was not a Jag. He was a beast.
He was a beast. He was
tackle, one of our best tackles we ever had in Washington.
Yes,
shout out to Chris Samuels. And along with him, coming out of Penn State, the monster himself. I think he was Javion Clowney before we ever heard of a Javion, i.e. LeVar Arrington. LeVar Arrington was the number 2 pick.
Difference maker.
Yeah, he was a product of that height too, though.
Yeah, but he was good though, man. He knocked out some people, man. Come on,
3-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah,
3-time Pro Bowler.
No,
his tender here was short, but he wasn't. He was a player.
If you a player, tell somebody.
I mean, when he knocked out Troy Aikman, man, I was so happy, man.
Yeah. But that alone can't be considered a.
He was a difference maker. His career was just too short. I wish he had longer time. He got injured. He had
the same problem as Heath Shuler though. Didn't he?
No,
couldn't remember the play. Couldn't remember where he was supposed to be.
No,
he was Bobby Boucher. He was Bobby Boucher.
Hey,
but with defense, you could
allegedly, Arrington. Don't be coming knocking my money. Hey. That's a big dude now.
We thought we were set.
Him and Joe Gibbs didn't get along. That's the reason why he got traded to the Giants.
I know we thought we were set when we had those back-to-back picks, man. Offense and defense, man.
Yes, that was an awesome time, wasn't it?
Yeah, man.
LeVar Arrington, 55 tackles in 2000, 2001, 99, 2002, 95, 2003, 90, 2004, 15, 47, and 2005, 14. The brother was beasting out with 11 sacks in 2002. I don't call him.
He got hurt toward the end of his career, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he went to the Giants, and then that's when he
got hurt in the Giants, and that was it.
Couldn't play no more. Yeah. So that's a sad story, but I liked him. I think he was awesome. Yeah. So shout out to that. So we got 3. 1 player that we all agreed can play, which was Arrington. Then we said Lang and Westbrooks. Well, no, then we said Westbrooks was also a player.
Yeah, he's Jag.
He's a Jag. He was Jag.
Okay.
Just a guy.
Come on, man.
So in 2001, there was a gentleman by the name of Rod Gardner, wide receiver. I thought that he did not deserve to be on the list. I thought Rod Gardner was a player enough. He was a Westbrooks. I think that the reason why they put him on the list, he was so quiet. He was kind of like a.
I think he was a little better than Westbrook. Wouldn't you say he's a little better?
Yeah, he was better than
Absolutely. Rod Gardner, man,
Yeah.
was a receiver professional. Is why they put him on the list.
Yeah, he's better than Westbrooks.
And he was a number 15 pick. Yes,
So he was better than Westbrooks. Yeah.
And then we have in 2002, Deacon's favorite, Patrick Ramsey.
Out of Tulane.
Tulane. But now this is kind of goes into what we're saying. He was the number 32 pick. So
Yeah. That's reaching for a quarterback.
Can we even call him a bust? Because it's not even fair. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's the first rounder, but
But as a quarterback, he wasn't even that good. He wasn't even NFL ready.
But Deacon, I would say this: who was his coach? His coach was that good dude from Florida, right?
Spurrier.
Spurrier had a weird offense, and he had no. Remember, he had no blockers.
Remember, Spurrier brought in his own quarterbacks. He brought in the dudes from Florida who couldn't play.
Yeah,
he brought those guys in. I mean, listen.
I know that they said Patrick Ramsey had concussion problems too, man. He got hit a lot, man. He had no blocking that particular years. He had concussion problems.
Yeah, but played for 18.
We can't go off of that.
There's some kind of potential in the man.
Huh?
He played for 18, so some people they saw potential in the guy.
Yeah, but that's Colt McCoy.
Yeah, I would say, hey Trey, I would say he was a Jag for 30th pick.
No, come on.
I'm with you, Al. I'm with you. I think he was a Jag.
I think he was a bust. I mean, I'll say this. I'll say Jag because he was number 30. You know, that late in the offense.
That late in the draft, he was a Jag.
Yeah.
He ended his career with a 74.9 quarterback rating.
You really can't expect much. Yeah, but that's because he didn't throw a lot. I can get that if I can get 100% if I never throw.
All right, we're not done. We are not done. In 2003, there was no pick for Washington. And then in 2004, the GOAT himself, Sean Taylor, we know what that was.
You got to talk about this.
And in 2009, the ninth round, 2005, there was a double pick. All right. Well, as you can see, one was Jason Campbell and the other one was Carlos Rogers, a quarterback who didn't deserve to make the list. I thought he was a baller.
He was a baller. Carlos Rogers played ball.
I don't think Jason Campbell deserves it either. I think Jason Campbell is a victim of circumstances, man. Anytime you play and you got 7 coordinators in 7 years, you don't have a chance. You don't have a chance. There's nothing you can do with that.
Yeah, Jason Campbell had a long career as a backup quarterback too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but I mean, as far as a starter and for us, he just wasn't given enough chances.
Yeah, plus he married Miss DC too. He married Miss DC too.
Well, he wins on that one.
He was a 25th pick.
Yeah, the 25th pick. I would say he was a guy. Was
that an Auburn?
Yeah, Auburn. Yep. Yeah, he was a guy. Yep.
Yeah.
He wasn't a Jag. He was just a player.
Yeah. A Jag would do. That's just like Ramsey. He was just a little bit like Ramsey.
Yeah, he's like a Jag. Yeah. Okay.
I thought when we had nothing, and remember in 2009 we had nothing. He did all right. That was his best season where he played all 16 games, 327 completions out of 500 attempts. His percentage was 64, 3,000 yards. And then Washington, 3,000 yards. That says something.
Yeah. Like I said, he just never had a consistent coordinator.
Yeah, I agree with you.
There you go.
He had a strong arm too.
Yeah, no, he can throw. I mean, he obviously at Auburn he looked pretty good, man. It's just 2005.
So after Jason Campbell, 2006, no pick. 2007, Mr. Laron Landry. Laron Landry, Mr. Eat weights for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Could come down and fill the gap, but boy, that over the top couldn't check.
But he was a hitter though, Trey Z. He was a hitter.
He was pure blitz. I love him. Number 6.
A lot of the times, and you see where we don't have a number 1 pick, man. Their philosophy back then was trade your first round pick, get more picks. It never worked. So people who asking to trade the first pick for some more picks, man. When you above a 12 or 15, man, you got to take that. You got to take those picks.
So after Landry was no pick in 2008, then we get to our man Brian Orakpo. Mr. Orakpo, number 13 in the draft. Brian Orakpo wasn't here long enough, in my opinion. Out of 10,
Arrington.
He only played for two teams. And what do y'all think about Mr. Orakpo?
He sells cupcakes, doesn't he?
Cupcakes.
I'm Michael Griffin.
I'm Brian Orakpo.
He's a baker.
He's a baker.
Hey, man.
Hey, business is booming too.
Anybody beasting out like that, man, he could have sold cupcakes wearing a tutu, man. That brother probably still made a killing.
He did. I think him and his partner wore a tutu on the commercial.
Yeah, they did, man. Hey, Orakpo was a guy. He was just a guy. For us, Tennessee was a little bit better, but for us, he was just a guy.
Well, he
was
being compared to his cohort on the opposite side, which is what's the white cat name?
Ryan Kerrigan.
Yeah, Ryan Kerrigan. So it was a choice whether we can keep Carrington or Orakpo, and they traded Orakpo. So he got enough time here, but like you said, at Tennessee, he started to blossom a little bit because also I think he had more leeway to play as far as being, able to do what he wanted to do and have somebody on the opposite side who was taking double teams. So he was just a guy for us. I wouldn't call him a bust because he hung around the league a while, but for us, he didn't really do anything for us. So, and I won't say he didn't do anything, but we didn't give him enough time to show his potential.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't think we had enough time to do it. Al said he's just a guy. I think he was a little more than that based on the caliber of players we had on the team at the time. I think he was still one of our best linebackers that we had defensively. So, I mean,
he was scary coming out of college.
Hey, man, he was the new Arrington. I mean, that's how everybody was talking about him. Like,
yeah. Texas. He was out of Texas. He was a beast.
So we had the next gentleman right in 2010, of course, was the Silverback. Came out number 4, Trent Williams. Another situation that we traded away.
Mm-hmm.
Gone. Now, I understand just Trent Williams just got a shout out from Madden. He's the first defensive lineman to ever receive a
offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman. Sorry, it's the defensive lineman. Offensive lineman to receive a 99 on the Madden rating. So it's funny when I think about Trent Williams and I think about all the stuff and all the drama and everything and stuff that, man, it's crazy. Yeah, I see that, Deacon.
You good though?
Yeah, Trent Williams is gold jacket wearing best offensive lineman to this day in the league.
To this day.
When we drafted Trent Williams, I forget who the other cat was, but there was another dude who was rated above him, and everybody was saying that Trent Williams was a bad pick because he wasn't NFL ready. I think we picked him because his arms were long. And it turned out to be good, man. I mean, he obviously exceeded expectations.
Yeah, he did.
But there was another guy who was available that, and it's funny because I don't know who he is. So it's not like he was burning up the league. But this guy.
Well, this way, I think out of everybody we picked so far, between him, Sean Taylor, probably LeVar Arrington and Trent Williams are about the 3 best.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows you that I mean, first rounds, you get to a certain point, man. It's a
crapshoot. It's a crapshoot.
I don't know what you're gonna get. These dudes, man, they ball out in college trying to get to the league, get that salary, and it's like,
hey Trey, what's our next pick, Trey?
2011, man, we got Ryan Kerrigan. Ryan Kerrigan did not make the list. Ryan Kerrigan became Mr. Washington for a second.
Yeah, sack leader. He's our sack leader.
At 16, still close to that 16, 15 range, Ryan Kerrigan. And then you would have thought that we was keeping up with the good times, with Trent Williams and Ryan Kerrigan when we got Bobby Three Sticks in 2012. And this is where it gets controversial. I'm going to go ahead and go first and say he was not a bust. He was not a bust that 2012 season. If you can get that from every first round draft pick that we get, I'm excited. There's no way you call him a bust. It was a tragic story and all of that, and they never recovered after that. Now, some other teams might say that about him. I'm sure Cleveland fans got a lot to say. Baltimore too. But Washington, 2012, you cannot. I say you cannot. As number 2 pick, call him a bust.
If you a player, tell somebody.
But I wouldn't call him a bust. I mean, Cleveland, they bought the hype. He was already on his way out with us. So that's on them. he was a bust for them. But for us, for a rookie to come in at number 2 and take us to the playoffs, where we haven't been in a minute. And again, victim of circumstances with them drafting Kirk Cousins, the same draft. Giving people the option to want the bag up. Same thing happened, man. Bad coach, bad knee. It was just, and it was part of his own fault too for trying to come back too fast, trying to change how he played football. But taking us to the playoffs, I ain't calling that a bust.
Yeah, this is an injury. I mean, he's not a bust. Just had a terrific injury. I mean, this is a tragic injury. Tragic injury. He really set our franchise back with that injury. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He did, because we traded a lot of ones.
Yeah, we set our franchise back with that injury. Bobby wasn't a bust. He just had an injury. And now for Cleveland and Baltimore, he was a bust. But for us, he wasn't. That 2012 season was magical.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. We thought we had a quarterback for years, boy.
Come on, man.
We were set. And then we drafted Whitcomb too, the running back.
Yeah.
Two together, man.
Alpha Morris, yeah.
Alpha Morris, that was just a nasty combo, man. Once again, we thought we were set for a couple years.
Yeah.
And after him, the 2013, 2014 years, we didn't have anything.
We traded it away. Get Bobby Three Sticks.
2015, Mr. Brandon Sheriff. Though, a lot of people got mixed feelings on Mr. Sheriff. He was a baller.
Yeah, definitely not a bust. Just injury prone, that's all.
He was not a
He's
bust.
not a bust, though.
And then last on this list, I stopped because before we get to Mr. Josh Dotson, after him were players that haven't even had a chance for us to really criticize. If you're talking about 2017, Jonathan Allen, 2018, Deron Payne, 2019, God bless the dead, Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat, 2020, Chase Young, 2021, Jamin Davis, and 2022, Dotson.
Okay, so I would say this. Other than Jamin Davis, I think I don't think I could call none of them busts.
Well, Chase Young.
I wouldn't call Chase Young a bust at this
point. Just say he was a bust. I'm just saying he's a work in progress.
Well, you can't call him a bust when he was a rookie of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like.
Okay, Deacon. He only has gave us 9 sacks in 3 years. 9 sacks in 3 years.
No, I understand the amount of years. I'm just talking about his first year. He's obviously a player, right? So
I would say the injury right now is like Bobby Three Sticks. He's in that same category as Bobby Three Sticks because of that injury. Unless he can recover.
Unless he can do something else. Yeah,
he's in that same category as Robert. I think he had a great rookie year. He took us to the playoffs. But just like Bobby Three Sticks, he's had an injury, and we hoping that he can recover. We don't know. Right now, they're saying he's not going to start for us. This year they're gonna take the time. We might get him game 5, game 4, hopefully. You know what I'm saying?
And listen, yeah, he's definitely out game 1. But I mean, just going over those names that you read off, I mean, those are.
Only one is this guy right now. 2016 is the only buzz.
2016, Mr. Dotson.
Oh, Dotson, yeah.
First year, he had only played 2 games, 2 receptions, 66 yards.
Yeah.
They were all big balls, though. They were 33 yards a catch for those 2 passes.
That's because nobody was checking him at the end of the game.
Hey, 2017, he played all 16 games in 2017. He only had 35 receptions, 502 yards. But he averaged 14.3 yards. He got 6 touchdowns. 2018, he played 15 games, 44 receptions, 532. He increased by 30 yards, 12.1 yards average, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. Minnesota. Then he went to Minnesota where he only played 1 game and 0 stats.
No. He was definitely a bust. There's no question about that. No question about that. Big Trey came up with some good facts, man. We appreciate that. Mightily. But it's funny how, you know, you think that that many years ago you won't remember like one player way back then, but you remember.
Yeah,
as soon as they pop up, it's like, man, we remember that dude.
Yeah, because it was a first-round pick. We had so much hope for him. You know what I'm saying? Even Andre Johnson, I remember, man.
Yeah.
I think he quit the team or something. I remember him walking off the field. It was quit.
Mature, man. He wasn't mature enough to play in the league.
You know, but you know, when your first-round pick doesn't hit, not a contributor or not a difference maker, you know, your team really takes a step back. You know what I'm saying? Or if they get injury, like Bobby Three Sticks had the injury, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Your team takes a step back. You know, and the Commanders / Washington football team / Redskins, since the 90s and the 2000s, we haven't hit on our first round picks, man. You know what I'm saying? We just haven't hit consistently. We have
the Alabama boys, man. The Alabama boys that come up big for us. Those 4 we got in the first round. Come on, man. I think.
I would say that the Alabama boys, the 4. Is it 4? It's 2.
Yeah. Huh?
It's 2 of them now, and since 2017, I think we've got lucky so far with our picks.
Well,
where'd Jonathan Allen come from?
Huh?
Where'd Jonathan Allen come from?
Yeah, he's one. And
Payne.
That's it.
Ron Payne, Alabama.
What about Sweat? Sweat came where?
Sweat from Mississippi.
Mississippi, okay. And then we got yeah. So then we got Flarin this year, or however you say his name.
Yeah. He's from Alabama. Yep, he's from Alabama. But I would say this, man.
But those 4 number 1 picks.
Haskins hurt us. You know, rest in peace, Haskins. But him not hitting, you know, that was Big Dan's pick, and him not hitting hurt.
But we didn't trade anything for him, though, Big Al.
But we was expecting Haskins to be a player, man. He had the strong arm. He had all the pedigree.
Once again,
all the pedigree. So he has to. I know he's rest in peace.
Yeah.
You know,
we're not talking bad about him. It is what it is.
But he was a bust.
So he wouldn't.
Rest in peace. He was a bust.
No. You get it, but you know, I think he was a victim of circumstances too. He in Washington. You know, anytime you draft a quarterback number 1, you can't practice him at safety. The coach didn't like him. You know, this is all a product of people pressing upon him that he wasn't the one I wanted. I didn't want you at number 1.
Well, my thing is though, Deacon, why do you hire a coach and a general manager and then turn around and pick players that they don't like?
And listen, our coach sucked. So who want to know what he likes?
But your owner, Dan, hired him, was paying him all that money.
Hey, listen, he was on his way out.
Come on, Deacon. Stop giving
us his 5th year, It was his 5th year.
Big Dan.
Big Dan. We were looking.
Big Dan. We
was looking down the road past Jay Gruden. He wasn't going to be we needed a quarterback. He was the best one available. Obviously, that year he played at Ohio State.
There was no quarterbacks that year.
Huh?
There was no quarterbacks that year.
I'm just saying, he lit it up at Ohio State. That first he played, so nobody can predict that he wasn't going to be a star. I mean, he was obviously setting records at Ohio State.
Yeah, well, Pittsburgh still had faith in him and had hopes that he was going to take over for Big Ben. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this year. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, you know, he had an accident and, you know, he didn't get an opportunity to do it. So rest in peace. But Big Ben still, I mean, you know, like I said, the Pittsburgh team seemed to have hopes in him that he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you big and got a strong arm, they want to give you a few chances, just like Carson Wentz right now.
Right.
We're the last team that's going to give him a starting chance.
That's true too.
Okay.
Carson Wentz. Yeah, you're right about that. This is it for Carson Wentz.
And this is it for you guys to make sure that you like and subscribe.
Absolutely.
This is it for you guys to make sure that you come back next week, see what it is. And this is also it for you to put down in the description what you think, what we said. Now, I don't even know how this is going to turn out because my camera's been frozen.
That's it for Trey's camera.
He broke the camera.
That joint is over.
We're going to shut that thing down.
That's it. But if it does come out where I am looking at you and talking, thank you so much for being patient with us tonight. As you see me still studying the stats.
You'll be studying stats forever. I'm gonna put a little.
I got something important to say.
Don't worry about it. I'll put a montage over your head.
I'm sure you're gonna have all kind of stuff going over there, like. But if that's the reason why they don't see me, that's what it is. But we do hear the go-go.
That's right.
And you know what that means.
Maybe. I got somewhere to go. I'm gonna do my best, gentlemen. Do my best.
Let's go.
All right, fellas. We're gonna get out of here. Washington Commanders. Commanders Big Al.
That's right.
See you. There's a pain, see you walk in my direction, I go the other way. I start to stutter when I speak, try to stand on my knees.